So today I'm going to do something I swore that I wasn't going to do. I'm going to give you a prediction on what I think is going to be happening in the UK property market in 2021. Hi, my name's Tony Law from Your First Four Houses. My channel's all about helping you replace a job-based income with just a handful of investment properties so that you can give up the day job if you wish and go and do something more interesting with your life. If this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification icon so that you don't miss out on any of the free content that I give you each and every week. This seemed like a really good idea when I was sitting in the warm at home. It's blooming freezing out here, so I'm going to crash through this as quickly as I can. I kind of promised myself that I would not be doing a prediction for 2021 because, to be honest, I got it wrong in 2020, as did, I hasten to add, pretty much every property trainer that's out there. At the beginning of the year I predicted a crash at the end of last year and it never materialised. Before I give you my opinion on 2021, I would suggest, do need to look at why it didn't materialise, because it will have an impact on 2021 in my opinion. As always, I've got no crystal ball. This is just my personal view and I may well be wrong. You need to seek your own advice and do your own due diligence and come to your own conclusions, I hasten to add. So why did things go up in 2020? Well, after the first lockdown, there was a huge pent-up demand. People had to get out there and buy property. And so suddenly, anybody that put their property on the market found that they had loads of people viewing. Of course, that created an energy and more sales actually happened. Obviously, the stamp duty holiday was a massive another push for people to get out there and buy property now. Obviously, that technically comes to an end on the 31st of March, although I'm still got my tenor riding on the fact that I think they'll extend it, but I may well be wrong about that. There was more cash floating around. Small businesses had access to CBIL loans, bounce back loans, and of course the furlough process obviously took a lot of pain away from businesses, and also obviously meant that employees were not being laid off, so there was no real pain felt there, frankly. People were also reassessing what they wanted from a property. Big priorities became outside space, or just more space in general. Ultimately, the property market, it felt artificially propped up, and for that reason, property prices just kept going up in 2020. So what do I think is going to be happening in 2021? Well, because lots of people have got differing views on this. Some people say it's going to be going up, some people say it's going to be going down. My prediction for 2021 is that the property market will soften towards the latter half of the year. Not crash, not go up, soften and fall off slightly. And there's 10 reasons why I think this is the case. And the really, really big one is the stamp duty situation. If on the 31st of March, the stamp duty holiday does indeed come to an end, well, honestly, that's going to change everything. That's going to change everything that I'm about to say and will override everything. If they don't extend it, I think the house price sales will just stop overnight for the first few months. In fact, very briefly, if you buy something now or you find something now, you won't get it over the line before the end of the stamp duty holiday. But people haven't maybe recognised that yet. They haven't necessarily woken up to it literally as I'm filming now. But when the stamp duty comes to an end, I honestly think sales would just die a death. I think there were three really big unemployment worries. The first is that businesses are obviously going bust because of the current situation and the general economic climate. Despite the support that the government has actually put in place, this is going to be more unemployment. Businesses are streamlining, that they have been making do with the staff that they have and maybe redefining the way they operate their business, maybe outsourcing many tasks. That means more unemployment. And thirdly, furlough comes to an end in April. When businesses have to start putting their hands in their pockets to pay for those staff again, I really think they're going to reassess who they want back and who they don't want back. Those three contributing factors are going to mean more unemployment, in my opinion, and obviously that will have a big impact on the property market. I believe there's going to be more reduced valuations as lenders get more nervous about what's happening. Reduced valuations will obviously drive down houses and just generally make people feel more nervous, more apprehensive about what's actually going on. Business loans that were given out during 2020, well, Okay, interest payments are really low on those, but they're having to start to be paid back now. That is having a negative effect on businesses, so I think will lead to more businesses maybe deciding to reassess what they're doing, and in many cases sadly push people under. Are additional taxes coming out? Now I do feel that in the property market, how are we going to get out of this economic mess that we're currently in? Well, I think probably property investors will start to take some of the brunt there in terms of changes and increases in taxes. But I think honestly that if you take the right tax advice, you can mitigate what is coming in many cases. Now, no one knows yet at the time of filming what, if any, additional taxes are going to be put into place. But as soon as we know, you have to book a meeting with your property savvy accountant and see what you can do. And I bet there's a lot that you can do. But really importantly, I also think those changes in taxes are going to actually make those smaller property investors, people that are just starting out or newbies, reassess whether they want to get into this market at all. And that means that for you, there's less competition for those deals. So of course, if you get yourself educated, if you go and speak to property savvy accountants, it means that you can make sure that you're doing things correctly. And so maybe the pain of any additional taxes is far less of a burden on your shoulders. Section 24 is obviously really biting hard this year for those people that haven't got their businesses set up correctly. But above all, I honestly think the biggest contributing factor as to why I think the property market is going to slightly slump towards the latter half of this year is purely down to sentiment. It's what people feel about the property market. People feel, if people feel that the property market is inflated, it's overpriced, then frankly, people obviously won't be overpaying for that next property. And I honestly think that it's that sentiment, it's that attitude, both from owner-occupiers and property investors, that will have the biggest impact, and why I feel the property market will be slumping towards the back end of this year. But I don't think that it's going to be a really, really big drop. But the thing that we need to keep in mind, and this is so important, is that if you're doing what I advocate you do, which is to buy and hold for the long term, I'm not sure it will have that big a difference on you. If you're buying as well as you can do, and if you're adding massive value, and if you are doing things correctly from a tax standpoint, if you're buying and holding for the long term, I honestly think property investing in 2021 can get you to a point of financial freedom.